To say Bring Me the Horizon is a well-known band is similar to saying is water wet. It's kind of an obvious statement. Whether it's in the heavy metal universe, the rock universe, or just the overall universe of the youth, Bring Me the Horizon are 4 words, one band name that seem to be known by just about all of them. Now, this is a group that's grown from a deathcore project with their first release into more metalcore and even alternative metal stylings, and they have had a large-scale fan base seemingly from the start, with one of their initial videos having more than 30 million views on YouTube. But based around that, there has also been a lot of flack that they've needed to take in order to defend the honor of one of their favorite groups. And I can remember in 2010 or 2011, just about every person in the area in which I live, whenever they were starting their band, wanting to use Bring Me the Horizon as an influence. It was right around the time of There Is a Hell, Believe Me, I've Seen It, There Is a Heaven, Let's Keep It a Secret. Yes, that's the name of the album. It's not one of the lines off of the album. Already we can understand why some people hate them, so let's understand 5 more. Let's examine 5 reasons why people hate Bring Me the Horizon. And we, of course, begin, because numbers are fun, with number 5. Number 5 is simple. It's that they're popular. They're a popular band. Oh my God! Ever since they came out, Bring Me the Horizon has instantly sort of had a little bit of a popular appeal to them. It's been based around when they came out, the look that they had, which definitely seemed to resemble some of the other groups that were popular at the time. This was in the, middle portion of the 2000s, so groups such as Fall Out Boy, My Chemical Romance, basically the first inhabitants of the emo/scene culture in America, were absolutely red hot. And so to have a group of young guys that were playing a little bit more of an aggressive sound of that, which was more closely derivative of deathcore, certainly gave them something to both swoon at and harder music to listen to. This popularity has really stymied a lot of people, considering they feel that there are plenty of other groups out there with plenty more talent than Bring Me the Horizon possessed at that point or at any point since, and that really have deserved the popularity a little bit more, which definitely constituted a lot of the feeling that it was most to do with their look and less to do with the music themselves. Either way, is it true or not, it's a case-by-case basis. Number 4, they're moving further away from metal, and you're seeing this a little bit more closely to the modern day. That's the Spirit, which was released in 2015 as an album that seems to be trending a little bit further away from that hardcore, heavy metalcore sound that Bring Me the Horizon really had within themselves during the tail end of the 2000s and throughout the 20-teens. Sempiternal was one that seemed to be taking some baby steps away, but fans weren't too sure whether or not the band was going to completely jump off of the ship. That's the Spirit sort of proved that they were willing to at least maybe not jump completely off the ship, but drop anchor and look around for a little bit. Based off of this, those that have been around since the deathcore days, those that have wanted to model their bands based off of Bring Me the Horizon's trademark metalcore, deathcore sound, are now starting to feel a little bit left off the boat. Kind of like perhaps their band, they did that SO thing, sell out. Amazingly enough, there have been true fans that have stepped further and further away from the Bring Me the Horizon camp, considering this, just the same as Bring Me the Horizon seems to have stepped further away from the metal camp. There'll still be those that will defend and say that this is just an experimental period. You put up with it with other bands, why not with BMTH? But either way, it certainly is something that has caused some of their fans, their actual legit-y fans for years, to step away and say no thanks. Number 3, bland writing. And you're going to see this from the detractors that never liked the band, that perhaps tried them out a couple of times and felt like everything sounds the same. This is a commonplace complaint that you get whenever you examine some of the emo, the scene, the deathcore, the metalcore, whenever you get into some of the things that are not some of the more basic adjective, genres of heavy metal, you tend to see a little bit of this writing that feels like it's a little bit too tailored toward the mainstream and not tailored enough toward just, exploration of actual music. This is a complaint that has certainly caused many to not only just not get into the band whatsoever, but they've actually used that as a point to dissuade others from giving the band its fair share. For those that actually have sampled the band and still felt that it was bland, at least you gave it a shot. But for those of you who just immediately have piggybacked off of this sentiment, well, you're really the stupid ones, considering how do you really even know? Perhaps you got some pretty bad information. There's a very good chance that you did, in the eyes of others. Myself personally, it's whatever. Sempiternal had some good tracks. Number 2, they aren't the same as when they started. This is going a little bit hand in hand with number 4, but going even further back. See, whenever this group was young, It was all about the image. It was all about deathcore. It was all about heavy, it was very chaotic at that time frame. And now to see this group sort of become a 180 of that, to seem like they are, truly one of the biggest bands on earth, that they are sort of treating themselves as actual career musicians, is kind of taking some people through a loop. It's definitely causing some folks to really question what Bring Me the Horizon is all about. Meanwhile, those who have detracted from them from the start are simply sitting back and saying, see, I told you so. The whole thing was just an act. The whole thing was just this. The whole thing was just that. Yeah, there are other things that could be mentioned within this, that Ollie Sykes, as he's gone from a more, deathcore or metalcore voice to a cleaner voice, has become a lot more nasally and annoying, a lot more derivative. Why would they... what? This is something that's really, really confusing, considering they've gone from one side that people like to another side that even more people like, and I guess that's why people say they sold out. I don't get it. I really don't. I think the band's just trying to evolve. They're doing something new. This is where their musical direction has gone, and for the record, if they're able to tailor it a little bit better, they could actually be pretty darn good. Either way, there are many that are extremely disappointed that some of the initial stylings that Bring Me the Horizon possessed is no longer the main focus of their catalog. A lot of those same people that I mentioned that during There Is a Hell, Believe Me, I've Seen It, There Is a Heaven, Let's Keep It a Secret tour cycle wanted to really be in a band like this, now no longer have that dream because they feel that this band is a shell of their former selves. Wow. There's one thing I never expected to see, which, wow, is it rare? I never expected to see a band of this caliber's fans turn on them so easily. Now, this isn't universal. This is something that's very sparse. But it's something that's being said in a loud enough voice, one that is definitely registering that it has to be mentioned. And if they continue further down the evolutionary bandwagon, there's a very good chance you're going to hear it and see it a lot more. But that brings us to number one, and that's the scene that they were, or the scene that they are, associated with. Probably one of the biggest reasons why Bring Me the Horizon and bands like it have gotten a lot of bane from various groups of music fans throughout the years is based off of that scene/emo philosophy, even though it has absolutely nothing to do with Bring Me the Horizon's music. People take a look at these guys for their look and immediately see something that they have really witnessed before in other groups within the scene and emo genre, and immediately label them as one of them. What doesn't help is that it seems like this is a group that also was able to gain the popularity, the appeal, and the love of the same style and the same group of fans. So based around that inclusiveness, they were lumped into the scene. And based around the fact that they were conversational, at least with some of those groups, they got lumped into the scene. And based around that, they started to become associated with the scene, even though their music was a little bit of a different style. Either way, this is probably the biggest reason that many people have opted to never try their music, have opted to never become a fan, and have opted to be so fierce whenever it comes to calling this band out for its supposed bullshit, calling their fans out for supposed bullshit, and defending their option to hate this band to the death. This is something that has caused throughout just the time frame that this very channel has been, around, fierce eruptions. This is a band that certainly has spawned a lot of opinion and also a lot of emotion. Opinions come from both directions, while the emotions seem to universally come from the Bring Me the Horizon fan base. And that's fair. You should be willing to go out there and defend your favorite band. After all, you like them. Why can't they? Well, it's based around how you approach the whole situation. Just like it's based how, everybody should approach the situation of a band that just seems to look like another group. Give them a try first is basically what I'm saying. A lot of people didn't do that. A lot of people blindly hated these guys. And what I noticed there for a short time period throughout the 20-teens were that people were starting to sort of shed away that basic bare bones image that they had about Bring Me the Horizon from the start, checked out some of their newer material, and all of a sudden, we're starting to become fans. They were starting to turn around and start to feel a little bit differently about this group. It just goes to show that age-old adage, you don't have any room to hate unless you've listened or unless you've experienced it for yourself. But even still, there are those where this has been the number one plague of their life. This has been the number one thing that has kept them from happiness. It's the number one thing that will ever keep them from being happy in the future. The fact that Bring Me the Horizon is just another one of those Fall Out Boy, My Chemical Romance, teenage scene girl bands. even though it's 2016, and most of that scene has now grown up. Well, there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. 5 reasons why people hate Bring Me the Horizon. If you think that there was something left off of this list, let me know in the comments below. And if you think there's a band that needs and deserves to be roasted and toasted, burnt to a crisp, burnt at the stake, burnt like a witch, this is a hell because I'm fucking making it. There's no heaven because God is irrelevant. Let me know. I'm CoverkillerNation. I'll talk to you guys later.